Proto-moto, and before we start today's video, please make sure you like and subscribe. It makes me happy in the end of the day, and it does show that what I do doesn't fall on deaf ears, alright? So, with all that said, please enjoy the video. Proto-moto, and today I have for you a deck that's all gas and no breaks. This is Libromancer. So Libromancers have a very unique ability to special summon out by revealing a ritual monster in hand. So let's just get right into the deck profile. So Libromancer Agent is our first card. We play one copy of this. This is basically our recursion to add either our spells, traps, or monsters from graveyard to hand again, and then being a high level enough monster to use as a resource to go into our ritual monsters, alright? Next up, we play 3 copies of Libromancer Fire. Fire allows you to basically just search any Libromancer monster from your deck to hand, basically, and basically allows you to go and extend into your more combos. Next up, Libromancer Geek Boy. Play 3 copies of these. Basically, this one is your field spell searcher, so basically you either use this to either go grab the 1 ritual card or 2 the field spell, and that's pretty much it. Do keep in mind that you actually do need to special summon out the main deck monsters from your hand using their effects, or you won't be able to activate their effects, so just keep that in mind when you're playing this deck inside locals, alright? Next up, for our ritual monsters, we play 1 copy of Doombroker. Doombroker allows you to set 1 Libromancer trap from your deck to the field. And then if it's used a monster on the field, you can attack directly. And then if it attacks directly, you could spin a face-up monster your opponent controls into the deck. So similar to a Nightmare Unicorn. Next up, we'll play 2 copies of Firestarter. Firestarter will allow you to go into or get the effects of the ritual spell. But this is the main monster that you kind of want to use your field spell to go into, and then use the ritual spell to go into the next 2 cards that we'll be playing. Fireburst allows you to swing for big damage, because if you use a monster on the field, the damage it inflicts is double. So using this with the ritual spell, it's unable to be destroyed by card effects, battle, and untargetable. So basically, it becomes like a towers monster that allows you to swing for a really hard time, right? Next up, we play 1 copy of Magician Souls. Magician Souls allows you to basically special summon it for free by sending 1 of the Illusion of Chaos to the graveyard. And Illusion of Chaos allows you to grab your Magician Souls from deck to hand, and then spin whatever you don't want back to the deck. Next up, we play 2 copies of Herald. Diviner of the Herald is really important because it allows you to send your copy of Arclight to the graveyard, which allows you to gain more resources in terms of ritual monsters, which you will need to do in order to successfully go into your combos, technically. So, and it allows you to go into other synchro monsters as well. So basically, this will become level 6, and then if you have a level 4 on the field, you go into your copy of Baron. Next up, for hand traps, we play 2 copies of Effect Veiler, just for help target, as well as a somewhat extender to do your link plays, and then we play 2 copies of Ash Blossom to stop your opponent from drawing. Next up, we play 2 copies of Ben 10. This is just simple. This is just if you are able to use this as a tribute fodder, you can just add 1 Light Fairy monster to deck to hand. That would be your copy of Divine Herald. Next up, we play 2 copies of Extravagance. Basically, this is just more draw power. You don't really need to go into the extra deck a lot because your main boss monster technically is Fireburst over here, so this is better than playing Desires. You can initially banish 10 and it gets stopped in Ash, rather than doing Extravagance and getting Ash there. It's better. Next up, we play Rites. Rites basically allows you to search for any ritual monster from your deck, and then if you have a ritual spell in graveyard, you could bring that back to your hand. Next up, we have 1 copy of Terraforming. This is for the field spell, because the field spell is super duper important when it gets to it, because it allows you to special summon out your ritual monsters proper. Next up, we play 1 copy of Call by Grave. This allows you to stop from being ashed and hand trapped. Next up, we play 2 copies of Concentrating Current. What this does, it allows you to boost your Fire Burst by 2800, basically, so you add your defense to your attack, and then basically, if you can swing Fireburst with Concentrating Current, that is game right there. That is game. It's over 8,000 with the effect, so don't be afraid to pop to chain Concentrating Current onto anything, okay? Next up, we play 2 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly allows you to bring out your Geek Boy really fast, and it just allows you to trigger the effect as well, so you're able to search your spell to hand. Next up, we play 2 copies of Droplet. This is what I would say is the less budget version, so Droplet allows you to negate face-up effect monsters, as well as half their attack. So this is really important when it comes down to your Fireburst swinging into a low attack monster. Next up, we play 3 copies of first appearance. This is a field spell and allows you to basically ritual summon one of your Libromancer ritual monsters from your hand using materials on the field. Next up, we'll play 2 copies of Libromancer Bonded. Bonded allows you to basically make a tower sort of boss monster with your fire burst if you use fire starter that's on the field. So it's a bit harder to bring out in a way, but it's definitely well worth it, and you'll see later on inside our replays. Next up, we'll play Libromancer Intervention. The Intervention allows you to bounce one of your ritual monsters to your hand and negate a effect of a monster that your opponent has activated. Alright? Now, moving on to the extra deck, we play 1 copy of Baron de Fleur. This basically is your kind of simple level 4 plus 6, which will be your diviner into that, so it's a basic negate. So this is Berserker. So typically this is not going to come up a lot, but if you have a couple tuners on the field already, so if you have a diviner and you have like something that equals level 8, this is easier to go into, but this is something I would say you could drop to suffice to either Borrow Load or something else inside your for an extra deck slot. Next up, we'll play 1 copy of Shooter Riser Dragon. This comes up pretty frequently, actually, and it allows you to kind of level manipulate the monster itself and then go into, like, either your copy of Draco Berserker or your copy of Baron. Next up, we'll play 3 copies of Herald of Arclight. This is really super important because you want to use Diviner of the Herald to use Arclight's effect to dump it and grab a ritual monster to hand. For Link monsters, we play 1 copy of Mech Crusader Avermax. This is pretty much your wall if you kind of can't go into certain combos. Access Code Talker for removal. Decode Talker Heat Soul for your draw effect. Nightmare Unicorn for the spin. Celine for Hulk combos to go into your access code. 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to basically pop back row. 1 copy of Hulk to go into our Celine, then access code. And then we play a copy of IP and Link Karibo. For a side deck, it's not really that important. These are just cards I think that would be good if you have to go, decide to go second, you know what you're playing against. Dimension Shifter is obviously top of the list, because you're able to just, anything your opponent does, you'll just say banish it instead of in the graveyard, because a lot of times they need to have resources in graveyard instead of being banished. We have 1 copy of Magic Girl. This one's kind of a flex spot. That's why I left it in here, because it's just not really that great of a card, because we're just someone during your opponent's turn, but a lot of times it's just like, why bother? So this is definitely a flex spot. You can fill them with everything you want. Next up is DD Crow. This is basically good for hand traps, stuff like that. Droll, just a replacement for Ash, just in case like the Ash isn't good enough where you need a side in the Droll, because they're playing like something like Sword Soul that continuously draws and like adds to hand. Next up, Lightning Storms. This can be the place where the desires you need more draw power, but I really recommend doing Lightning Storm instead, so 2 copies of those. Next up, you have 2 copies of TTT. This is just a good side card, just because if you get Ash, stuff like that, you keep on going through your combos uninterrupted. Then you play Cosmic Cyclone as back row removal. Next up, you play 2 copies of Evenly Matched inside the side deck. It's just a good removal card if you have to go second. Alright, now on to the replays. Alright, so we have a good starting hand here. So we start off with our Geek Boy, Illusion of Chaos, Intervention, Extravagance, and Concurrent Current. So what we're going to do is we're going to special summon our Geek Boy using its effect, and then activate its effect to grab our copy of the field spell. We'll then activate the field spell and set our copy of Intervention to grab fire to our hand. Then we'll special summon out our Fire using its effect, and then we'll grab our copy of Firestarter. Next up, we'll Tribute Summon, or Ritual Summon using our Geek Boy into Firestarter. And then we'll activate Illusion of Chaos to grab our souls back to hand. And then we will spin back our copy of Illusion of Chaos. And then Special Summon out our copy of souls, sending 2 cards. Yeah, so we'll use the effect of souls to send 2 cards to the graveyard. And then draw 2. And then luckily we do top deck our copy of Bonded. So next up, we will go into IP Masquerena and end turn there. So, opponents will draw. He's going to activate Lightning Storm, but since our copy of Firestarter cannot be destroyed by card effects, he's going to activate Upstart Goblin, we gain 1,000, and then he's going to activate Scrap Raptor, and then we're going to bounce back our copy of Firestarter to hand and negate the effect of Scrap Raptor, and then we are going to bring back our copy of Fire, and then Fire will grab our copy of Fire Burst, and then he will pass turn to us, and then we will proceed with our combo. So we'll first activate our copy of the field spell again, and then add our Doombroker to hand, reveal our card, special summon Doombroker to bring back our copy of Fireburst, and then we will go into a Firestarter, then activate our ritual spell to go into our copy of Fireburst. So this is where the combo really comes in handy. So next we're going to pop off our copy of Concentrating Current, and then we will swing for game. So what do you guys think? I think this deck is really fun to play. There's definitely some things you could definitely change around with this in terms of like choosing what engine you want to run, like incantations or megalith. But this is a deck that really is like one of the funnest decks that I've played so far, because it's just back to like basic Yu-Gi-Oh, where you're kind of like getting big powerhouse monsters on the field. So that's it for today. So make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and keep up to date. And I will catch you guys later. All right. So sayonara.